game plan was great.
The players.
I would want him to be a runner like Mahomes.
The plays.
That is a massive, massive mistake.
And each
The more
other.
I think about it, the more I'm fine.
Zolak and Bertrand, the Sports Hub.
Welcome in. It's Zolak and Bertrand. And we've got Matt McCarthy with us today.
Hey, guys.
Beetle McCone McCarthy. How you doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good. Great to see you.
Walk in, it's like a comedy show here.
Yeah.
Slapstick all over the place.
We like to have fun.
Sure. I like that about you
What
guys.
What do you say? You know, we just like to have a little bit of fun around here.
It's called chemistry.
Yeah, that's right. Keeping a loose clubhouse.
Yes,
Something the
yes.
Red Sox don't know bleep about right now.
Oh, man.
Woo.
Everything's fine.
We'll get to that at some point today. Looking forward to hearing McTakey fired up about his Red Sox team that can't find their way forward. But let's continue talking about the Celtics after a big, devastating series loss over the weekend, Saturday night. We're now a few days removed from it. And I think the thing that has made the most headlines to this point has been, I think, Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
I think Jaylen Brown's comments on his Twitch feed about it being the best, his favorite season ever, have really not played very well with a lot of people. Forget locally. I'm talking nationally. Like, if you look at the landscape yesterday, those comments sort of caught fire because, I mean, I understand that we always talk about the NBA being a players' league and players really care about their personal success in a lot of ways more now than they do team success. Has anyone been so blatant with it than him with that comment?
No.
Because when the team did win a title 2 years ago, he was the finals MVP.
Right.
Which counts for something. That's important. That's an important, legitimate award. In a lot of ways, I would tell you the finals MVP is better than winning a league MVP because it represents what you did on the biggest stage, biggest moment, toughest competition, all of that. And you're a winner. These comments from over the weekend on the Twitch feed on Sunday, stream, feed, what do they call it? It's a stream.
Ask Milliken.
What do they call that? A
Twitch stream.
Twitch stream. It is streaming. They're streaming a video. Are just the opposite of that. You just had the worst collapse in Celtics history, and this is going to go down as your favorite year ever. So that loss didn't stick with him, is what it tells you. Like, it's just not registering the way you want a devastating loss like that to register for a player. Can you imagine like a New York Yankee coming out after 2004 and saying, you know what, I crushed it this year. I had a great season, but this is my favorite year yet.
Well, Brady in 2010, MVP winner. Hey, we got bounced by the Jets. It was a horrific loss, but you know what, man? I killed it in the regular season. I was on fire.
36-4, baby.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we're all just a little too accepting of the NBA's culture of personal success mattering so much. And I think it's bullcrap. The more you think about these comments and the more I see other people talking about it, I'm like, you know, these comments really were silly. Nick Wright was not happy about it at all. He was upset. And no surprise. Here, have a listen.
He flew very close to the sun all year, talking about how much fun it was this season. About, you know, when he was posting their record this year compared to last year, and about all of it, which was he seemed to, and I don't blame him for this, but he seemed to really enjoy being the number one option. And I find it noteworthy, Brew, that a player who has won a championship and been a finals MVP said this year, where they went out in round one blowing a 3-1 lead, was the favorite year of his career.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that if I am the Boston Celtics this summer, when I am talking about team build and pivot and anything like that, that is a topic of the conversations.
It should be. It should factor in, and I think it will factor in. And I think the Celtics, if they're ever going to break up these two guys, they've got more cover to do it now than they've ever had before. They just do. I can't think of a better situation. It's because it has to be bad, right? It has to be a bad situation to make it a good situation to make a big trade like that, because it's probably not in their best interest in terms of the talent level on the team. They're probably going to lose if they do that. They're going to, and I said it going back a couple weeks before we knew they were going to crap themselves in the first round of the NBA playoffs. I said if you break them up, it's going to be real hard to have two guys on a team that have as much talent as Tatum and Brown.
You always lose that trade.
You're going to lose it.
You always lose that trade. Is it more on the table now? I mean, I think it is. And I'm against breaking them up. I've always been against breaking them up, just for that very reason, because you're always going to lose the trade. But to your point, Beetle, have I now considered it slightly more over the last 24 hours based on these comments? I think I have.
I don't think it's just the comments, though. I mean, it's also what's gone on in the postseason in 3 of the last 4 years with this team. And that is that you have wildly underachieved with this group. So how do you shake up the DNA of this roster? I think moving off of one of those 2 guys is probably the easiest way. And look, it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, but changing what this team is about, that's the easiest way to go and do it. These comments didn't really annoy me as much yesterday because I looked at it and I said, you know what? It's a guy that thought that the world was against the Boston Celtics coming into the season, and he took some pride and he bought in, and we made it to the 2 seed. But the more and more I think about it, if I'm Jason Tatum, I'm looking at him side-eyed as well. Because, wait, what do you mean, man, by that? This is the most fun that you've had? We have won a championship together, where, by the way, you got all the glory in terms of the Finals MVP and the Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
Yep.
We've been to the Finals before. We've been to Eastern Conference Finals before. We've been through a ton of wars together throughout this whole thing. And you continue to get on your soapbox and talk about how this year, when you got to be the guy, when I'm dealing with an Achilles injury and working my way back, that this was your favorite year of your career. Like, that would bother me if I'm Jason Tatum.
It would make me feel like this guy doesn't want to work with me. He doesn't want to play with me.
Yes.
He doesn't want to be around me. He loves it when I'm not there.
Yes.
That's weird. Oh, but it's not personal. It's just because, I got my praise and I got mine. Well, all right. That doesn't make me feel great as your teammate. It just doesn't feel functional anymore. And my point in response to you're going to lose the trade. You're going to lose the trade, which we all agree. You'll lose the trade. You won't be as talented if you move off one of these guys. What's the alternative? You just come up short every year? Like, that's what it's going to be?
You come up short, and now are you dealing with like a disgruntled Jaylen Brown moving forward too, because he's not the guy and not the number one, that he has to take sort of a backseat to Jason Tatum as well? So like, what's that dynamic going to be like moving forward too? There's a lot of questions there for me with how those 2 are going to function moving forward as well. And man, you can be happy with the season that you had. You can be happy with the regular season you had. You just flamed out in epic fashion in the first round of the playoffs, and then went on a stream and bitched about how the refs were against you, how Joel Embiid is a flopper, but that it was your favorite season of all. It's like just zero accountability across the board from one of the guys that you would look at and say, that's going to be the guy that we point to and hold up as the gold standard for the team. It's hard to wrap my head around. Insane comments.
I think everybody has had pretty bad comments since this ended. The big 3 of this team, if you want to count the coach in that. Mazzulla's comments, Brown's comments, and I would rank it Brown, then Mazzulla, and then Tatum to a lesser degree, kind of floating the idea that he would have been back in round 2. I don't think that helped him or made the situation look good at all, or just speaking in vague terms again about the injury and what it is that actually was going on over the last several days. But that's like a distant third in all of this. I think Mazzulla and Brown have made them look really bad here in the fallout.
Couldn't agree
I don't
more.
think there's any accountability publicly, at least, from either one of these guys.
Yeah, and that's the issue, right? I mean, how do you fix the culture? I start with the coach. I mean, that would be my approach. To your point, Beetle, is this going to get better? Are you going to fix this with Brown and Tatum? Is there just something a little bit too dysfunctional there? Maybe. But that's not the first place I go. I fire the coach first, and I try everything I can to make it work between Brown and Tatum, with the understanding that most of the time it has not worked. But talent still wins in the NBA.
So I'm not like,
but who has to change there? You could change out the coach, but is Brad Stevens going to change? This is the thing I brought up yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Brad Stevens has to take some form of accountability for this too. I mean, he is either endorsing this style of play or at least enabling this.
Oh no, I think he's endorsing.
I think it's his style of play, which I think is, again, if you swap out the coach, which you can go ahead, fire coach. We fire coaches in the NBA all the time. Fine. Then what? You get another coach that does the same exact thing. So how does anything change?
Yeah, you have to hope that Brad Stevens, who is a smart basketball man, figures out that, you know what, this is not the style of play we should be playing. We got to back off this a little bit.
Can he do that with the coach he currently has?
No, certainly not, because Mazzulla is too stubborn.
See, I'm not
sure of that.
Yeah, I'm not going to go to the mat for Joe Mazzulla in terms of the performance that he had in this round one postseason because it was terrible. They were terrible. But I just think foundationally with this franchise, you've got to look in the mirror and say, what we're doing is not working. We have to change that. And I think if Brad Stevens does that from the top down, Joe Mazzulla can be that guy. I'm with Beetle. I just don't know if changing out Joe Mazzulla and running it back with another coach and Brad Stevens not making any adjustments to the way that this franchise operates is going to actually change the core problem.
You see, I disagree strongly about that because Mazzulla's biggest flaw is he's stubborn and he's too set in his ways, and he's the type of coach who wants to prove that he can do it his way. We've seen that for 4 years here.
But that's where you and I disagree because I don't think it's his way. I think it's the Boston
I don't think he
Celtics
invented
way.
it.
Yeah.
No, I think he's fully committed to this, though.
Yes.
Right. And here, they shot a bunch of threes when Stevens was here. But they're shooting even more threes under Mazzulla than they did under Stevens and Udoka. So, I mean, Mazzulla has something to do with this. I'm not saying he's everything to do with this because obviously Stevens has had to sign off on it, enable it, point them in this direction. But this is Mazzulla ball. Right?
They are an analytically driven organization more than they've ever been before, which is why this is happening under Mazzulla.
There's nothing more dangerous than combining analytics with somebody who's stubborn. And that's what's happening here.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's
they've never
Mazzulla
told
that's
him
stubborn.
to do something else. They've only told him to do what he has been doing. So my question is, they tell him to do something different. We're going to approach it differently. Brad Stevens decides we're going to do it a different way. Would he do it a different way? You think he would not?
I do not think so.
I think he would.
I mean, you guys know him better than me.
But I think he's following his orders. I think he is following his orders from the top on down.
I look at the way they changed their play a little bit after the Utah game. Earlier this year, they were shooting a whole bunch of threes, about 50 threes a game. They kind of cut it back towards 40, 41 after the Utah game. Was that all Mazzulla? Was it the organization? And then they reverted to it again in the playoffs, which, I would say the coach has something to do with it, guys.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I just think, though, from the organization, that's how they view it, right? And I think he's executing an organizational plan. Now, could you have a coach that can reel that in real time, maybe a little bit better than what he does? Absolutely. I just wonder, too, if you're getting rid of Mazzulla and now you're taking away Tatum's guy, right, as a head coach, and now you're pissing off one of your stars for a guy that you're swapping in, and you're not making any changes to the approach. Again, so you're going to have a coach that's executing the same plan that the Celtics want, but just pissing off your superstar. I'm not sure what that does. If he's not going to execute, if Brad Stevens wants to change the way that they operate and Joe Mazzulla says, no, I'm not, get rid of him 100%. I just don't know if it starts with Mazzulla.
All right, we got a lot more to get to on the Celtics' disaster of an ending to this season. 617-779-0985. We'll continue with any of the calls that didn't get through yesterday. Where's the accountability with the Celtics after all this? It doesn't feel like we've really heard that from them. It's all coming up on Zolak and Bertrand. Stick around.
We're back with more Zolak and Bertrand on the Sports Hub.
Why pour gasoline on that fire by saying this was your favorite year? Even if it were true, there are a lot of things I feel in my life that I don't say out loud because I know the repercussions of what happens if I were to say them. So some things are just right, and some things that you have to swallow your pill if you're going to be the leader of a team. You don't say that out loud. I just don't understand, Stephen A. Why the hell say that? What do you have to benefit from saying that?
Go ahead, Janae.
You guys, it's 2026. People are going to have plenty of podcasts. People are going to have Twitch streams. To me, it wasn't that deep. And maybe because I saw that Jaylen Brown understands no matter what we say about him, we will still have the same questions. Whether he goes out and says it's his favorite year, or whether Jason Tatum is healthy or he's unavailable, people are always going to have the conversation no matter what. Whose team is it? And to me, this Boston Celtics squad looks like they're at peace with that narrative, and they're just moving forward.
That might be the problem.
I was just going to say, wait a second. Should we be at peace after a first round 3-1 collapse?
Peace? Should anybody be at peace with the result or the comments?
I mean, there's peace between duality. There's duality between peace and tension, right?
Oh, man. Oh, no. I can't say that there's great peace there, you were going to say.
Well, at peace with like the debate too. So wait a second, hold on. Now we're good with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown going out publicly and stating why this should be their team. That seems healthy and functional for sure. That's good. That's a good approach. Look, you can be proud of the year that you had. Again, people like me were probably right that you should have tanked this year and gotten a good draft pick.
They did. They just didn't tank until the very end.
Yeah, exactly. A little late. A little late there.
They were too late to get to it.
And you know what? We overachieved. We were the 2 seed. I get all that stuff. But to say this was the most fun you had, I take that as a direct shot to Jason Tatum. And to me, that's an issue.
And he's what? Not enjoying himself when he has to do the job with Tatum on the floor? Is that what it is?
Guys have had a lot of success together. Won a championship together. One where you, by the way, were the finals MVP.
That was not his favorite. The favorite year for him was disaster, blow up, be booted in the first round. That was his favorite year.
Right.
What do you value? What do you value? You value yourself and your brand or whatever it is, sneakers, whatever. Like
I got the MVP chance. Right?
Yeah.
Like that to me is kind of the way that comes off. I got my shots. I got the MVP chance at the end of these games that we were winning.
And there's a lot of that in this league, but you know what? I don't have to like it. We don't have to like it. We don't have to accept it. 617-779-0985. Steve in Boston. Hi, Steve.
Hi, how you guys doing? A couple of quick points here, and I need some clarification. So what Jaylen did is he goes online and he's posting videos and making comments about refs. And has that ever been done before to the extent that he did it? And number two is, you're berating the refs. And if you think that what happened to you last year was bad, look what you're setting yourself up for disaster next year. And I don't understand how you can do that. And number two, can you get fined for doing what you did? And number three, if I'm Brad Stevens, I am on speed dial to him saying, what are you doing? You're the leader of the team. What are you doing?
If that's the message the team is being led by, that's a problem. Yes, he can be fined for criticizing officials. He has been very open in criticizing those officials this year, maybe more open over the course of a season than most. I don't know. I don't know all the guys that have criticized officials over the years. I don't know. But I'll tell you that if you think you lost because Embiid's a flopper and the refs suck, then you don't know why you lost. You have no clue.
No, and I think Scal said this perfectly, too. It's really easy to point at Joel Embiid and saying, all right, he came back, he shifted the whole series, right? Or the refs were out to get us. Because you don't have to look internally in terms of what just happened.
Right.
By the way, the 76ers just got dog-walked last night by the Knicks. And so you are not close right now to competing in the Eastern Conference. And I think you have to look as a whole, all right, what are we doing right now where we're having regular season success and it is not translating to the postseason in the vast majority of these years? And not only is it not translating, but we're underachieving based on the teams that we're playing against right now. And that should not be happening.
I mean, 3 of the last 4 years, they've lost to, I would argue, vastly inferior competition.
No, I think that's
An 8
totally
seed,
fair.
The Knicks. I mean, two of the 3 teams they've lost to in the last 4 years have been play-in teams. And if we're talking about the Jaylen Brown side of this, the end of those 3 years, Jason Tatum was not available to the Celtics. He was not available in Game 7 on Saturday night, Sunday night, whatever it was. He was not available at the end of last year. Granted, they were down 3-1 in the series. And he rolled his ankle in Game 7 against the Heat. I know he played most of that game, but let's be honest, he was not available in that game. And Jaylen Brown can't look at himself and say, you know what? I didn't lead my team to victory in any of those situations.
I would also say, guess what happens when you play with your food in series where you shouldn't be going to Game 7s with these teams? Well, turns out someone could potentially get hurt and miss some time, and now you're down to play. Like, just take care of business in Game 2 against the 76ers, and then Joel Embiid isn't a storyline in this series. But you didn't.
Right.
Like you have in years past, you played with your food, and you got burned at the end of this series because of it.
If the Sixers are down 3-0 in this series, Embiid does not come back.
No.
I would think.
Mazzulla did it too. What's the difference?
Yeah.
Embiid came back. Mm-hmm. Brown, refs suck. Embiid's a flopper. They're out to get us. And by the way, it was my favorite year. Oh, okay. All right.
How do you fix the culture with these three principles here? Brown, Tatum, Mazzulla.
Well, it's not by trading Sam Hauser, right? Like that can't be your big move this offseason. Can't be.
You have to employ a different style of play, which is a difficult thing to do.
Does that change? And the style of play is critical.
Yes.
But does that change
that would
the culture?
No, and that's kind of my point. You can fix the style of play, and you'll probably do a lot better. But does it fix the problem of the two star players not quite fitting together like puzzle pieces? Just not quite clicking. No. I don't think it fixes that. And if there was ever a time for a reset and a massive change, that time should be now, because losses like these should shake an organization to its core. Mm-hmm. And this is the time. Yes.
When Jaylen Brown signed here, I think a lot of us felt like he was not going to play out the 5 years. That was he's now 2 years into the 5-year extension, if my math is correct.
Yeah.
You have new ownership who wants to cut costs.
They would love to dump his contract.
Of course they would.
Yes, they would.
It's probably the reason Mazzulla doesn't go. They don't want to pay him out.
I don't know if that's true again. I really don't. Because I don't know if they look at him as being the key issue here. And I'm not saying that he's blame-free. I'm going to look at the Game 7 starting lineup. Like that's a problem for sure. But
you didn't like Luka Garza and Ron Harper Jr.?
I think they view him as sort of the Miami Heat view Eric Spoelstra, or the Spurs with Greg Popovich over the years before he stepped out. Like, I think he is part of the foundation of this franchise, and it's not your typical setup where it's, you know what, just change him out. It is what it is. I think that they view that position differently right now.
If they view him that way, they're the problem. Because he's not that. He's not Spoelstra. He's not Popovich. He has now lost, again, to 3 vastly inferior teams in the playoffs, and he is one of the primary reasons why. So if they view him that way, you got bigger issues.
Grab the headlines here. We'll get back to your calls next. Also, Giannis to Boston. That smoke is starting to billow. It's all on the way.
If you need your Boston sports fix, we're here.
You see from the rear angle?
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Zolak Bertrand, the Sports Hub.
I would consider it. I don't love the move right now. I just look at how this thing ended, how last year ended. Something has to change. I really believe that. I don't want for it to be Jaylen Brown out. I don't obviously want it to be Jason Tatum out. I think you should be having a conversation about the head coach. Of course, something has to change. I think if you just continue to run it back, like that is the definition of insanity. I know they won a title a few years ago, but it's 2 years consecutively now. Their season has ended prematurely. And if you're not seriously considering real change, I don't think you're doing your jobs as an organization.
Giannis Antetokounmpo, 32 years old, later this year, currently 31. He'll be 32 during next season. And his potential departure and leaving Milwaukee to come to potentially Boston is picking up steam. Not that it hasn't been discussed before, but now it's being talked about again, because as you just heard Phil Perry say from last night, if you have a collapse like that and you're not considering big change, you're not doing it right. So now that's a possibility. You on board with that? Would you going back to 3 weeks ago when we had this talk, I said, no, I'm not swapping out Brown for Giannis. No, I'm not doing that. Just the loss of talent to me and the potential for injury with Giannis as he ages, like that's a bad idea. Today, I'm a yes. I changed my mind. When you see the team blow it the way that they just did, that's it. I got to change my mind now. You can't not change your mind and say that they don't need real change and changing the fabric of the team. Yes, I want to do that now. Sounds silly. I don't think you're as talented. I think it's risky. You've got Tatum's injury concerns. You've got Giannis's injury concerns. Don't care. I'm in. Count me in.
Yeah, Mark Stein saying that they could be a dark horse now for Giannis. And I wonder...
Why do they have to be a dark horse, by the way?
You could just be a regular horse?
Just be a regular horse.
Just be a horse.
A horse.
Yep. Okay.
Or be the horse that wins.
So maybe
Kentucky Derby out in front.
Hey, listen, man. That horse that won the Derby came, right from behind everybody. So maybe the Celtics are that.
You say dark horse? Would that be stunning if the Celtics pulled off a move to land?
Not anymore.
No, it wouldn't.
No, I don't think
not
so.
anymore.
Come on.
If they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, something like that, I think then you're having a different conversation. But based on the last 2 postseasons, I don't think so. Do you think they're going to try to kick the tires on putting together a big 3 here? Because there is a way that you could do it with
No.
Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, all that stuff.
No, I don't. And I'll tell you why. Ownership.
Money. Yeah.
Money. No, I don't think they're going to do that.
Now, should they do that? Yes.
Yeah.
Will they do that?
No.
No. So I'm kind of with you on this, Beetle. I mean, ask me 3 weeks ago, would I have traded a younger Jaylen Brown for Giannis? No, I would not have done that. But rarely, again, we talk about breaking up, Brown and Tatum. When you're trading an NBA superstar, rarely do you win the trade or get anywhere near, close to value on that player. You're getting first-round picks 5 years from now.
Yeah, you're resetting. Yeah.
At least you can make the argument with Giannis. Now, I would say he might be a step down based on the age and based on the injury concerns.
But not the
Brown.
player.
But not the player himself. I mean, you're putting Giannis and Tatum together. I can make a basketball argument that works better than Brown and Tatum. So I'm on board with this. I think there's a risk to not doing it, to not making a change. You know what I mean? Yeah. Don't get me wrong. This is a risky move, but there's also a risk to just keeping this thing together and rolling it back.
How do you change the DNA of this team if you're keeping Brown and Tatum together?
Well, I mean, Mazzulla has to go in that case. Has to. One of the three principals needs to be out of here because it does not work to the level that it should be working.
Right.
So if you're keeping Brown and Tatum, Mazzulla needs to go. And, you want to bring in, probably a more experienced NBA head coach who I would not consider to be a player's coach. Somebody who can challenge them.
Yes.
So pivot to a player or a coach and we got multiple calls on this yesterday, Matt. It's not going to happen, obviously, but Ime Udoka.
Correct. Yeah.
Someone like that.
Somebody who's not going to be afraid to challenge these guys. Because I'll be honest, I don't think Joe Mazzulla challenges them the way they need to be challenged. He's too close to the situation. He's a Tatum guy. The Tatum seal of approval.
Blake and Holden wants to defend Joe Mazzulla. Go ahead, Blake.
Called the right show.
Hey, guys.
Sure.
Hey. This Ime Udoka provisionist history, I'm kind of okay with this. This issue still existed with Ime. Game 3 at Miami, they blew when Ime was the coach. They got complacent. Like, it happened all the time. This was a reoccurring issue even with Ime as the coach. And if you want to fire the potential coach of the year who would have probably 20-plus teams lining out the door trying to get him, then you should probably have a specific answer that's realistic. And also, bringing in a new head coach, it's not going to solve these complacency issues you have with the culture. It's going to make it worse. A first-year head coach, Tatum and Brown are past being, moldable at that point. Like they are who they are. A new head coach is not going to change anything. It's only going to make it worse.
Okay, I don't know that it's going to make it worse. I don't know that it's going to make it better. But
It's a great point, though. Like, we talk about Ime Udoka, right? And being the guy that gets in your face. You still played with your foot in that Bucks series and went to a Game 7 when it was wildly unnecessary to do it. So this has been a pattern with different head coaches with this core group of players.
Yeah, the players are a problem. No, but if you're not going to break up the players, and you can make a basketball argument as to why you would not break up Brown and Tatum, then you need to try something else. It's the way it is. Rotate the coach every 3 years if you have to, if your decision is we cannot move on from Brown and Tatum.
Problem to me is, all right, so you do that, you swap out the coach, and it doesn't work this year, and now Giannis is somewhere else, and you're like, hey, we got to break this thing up, and now what's your option in terms of swapping out one of those players for a guy that you can plug in and still compete at the same level?
Yeah, I mean, you're not finding that. You're kind of doing a bit of a reset. You're building around Tatum, I guess, but then Jason Tatum is going to be approaching 30 with now, I would say, relatively significant injury history, wouldn't you guys? I mean, did not finish 2023 because of the ankle injury, the Achilles injury last year, doesn't finish 2026. So, I mean, there's a lot of tread on those tires.
Yeah, look, it's a guy that posts pretty much every time.
Agreed.
So, look, I kind of connect this year to last year as well. I would point to the minutes played in the postseason and wonder why we were pushing this guy to 40-plus minutes a night when one of his calves is 85% of the size of the other one. Like that, not a doctor, I'm a headlines guy, I understand it. Doesn't make a ton of sense to me that you were trying to do that and you ran into some issues here. So, we'll see kind of how that plays out. But it's a fair point. Right? Like, you're building around a superstar that's coming off, again, a catastrophic injury last year.
Luke in Westford. Hi, Luke.
Hey, what's going on?
What's up?
Mike, I love you. You're great.
I love you, too.
Mike.
Yeah.
Well, I don't love you, so it's weird that you said that.
All right. See you later, Luke.
Cool. Bye.
Jay's in the car.
Let
hey,
him
Jay.
finish.
Mike, waste of time.
Hey, guys. I'll make it quick, man. So, first thing, Brown's comments, not a big deal. I'm just over us trying to determine whose team it is. Like, we've done the same thing across multiple sports with Ortiz and Pedroia in 2013, things of that nature. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whose team it is as long as they perform. The real issue with this Celtics team, not coaching, is the construction of the team. If you notice, all the teams that still remain in the playoffs, they have someone inside who could give them a bucket. Yep. And that's something we don't have on this team. So we need to reevaluate the construction of this team. Thank you.
Okay.
Look, I think that's a fair point.
Giannis could help.
Yeah, Giannis could certainly help, but I also wonder if the construction is based on just the fact that, all right, we're going to surround these guys with a bunch of shooters, and that's what we're going to prioritize as well. And so is your style of play impacting the way that you've also built this roster? I think that all those things are tied together.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, this is, Stevens wants bigs who can shoot. He doesn't want bigs who are necessarily a post presence. But you also, factor in ownership here, too. They had to cut salary this summer. To me, it's remarkable that they built, frankly, such a good team with the amount of talent and money that they shipped out the door.
617-779-0985. It's Mike in Connecticut up next. Hey, Mike.
Hey, guys, I got one thing I wanted to mention about. I'm sure you're going to take a million calls today about trades for Jaylen Brown and stuff. Mm-hmm. Please ask them who they want to trade for, because it's not that easy in the NBA to make trades. And I guarantee 95% of the trade examples they come up with are either going to make the Celtics worse or just not going to be possible.
Mike, I think we agree with you that you're probably going to lose that deal. You're going to lose the deal. The alternative is you just keep losing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. I mean, great regular season team. If you want to be the Baltimore Ravens, congratulations, you're the Ravens. At least this team has broken through at least once. I mean, those teams haven't, but that's what they mimic. Great regular season teams.
The championship's the outlier at this point.
Yes.
It really is. And again, you look back at that postseason, no one's going to take that championship away from you, but it wasn't exactly murderer's row that you went up against. And how much adversity did you see in that postseason?
None.
Over the last decade, despite winning a championship in that decade, it feels like more often than not we are disappointed with the Celtics ending.
Yes. Just because of the way the Eastern Conference is broken for you over the years. I mean, you're playing a Miami team that was on its last legs. Jimmy Butler, going up 3-0 on you in the Eastern Conference, not even knocking you off, but going up 3-0 on you and putting yourself in a position where you lose that game 7 was a joke. You come back and you win a championship last year to the Knicks, and then this year to a play-in 76ers team. It's just, you've underachieved.
Kendrick Perkins not happy with Jaylen Brown's comment. You'll hear from him next.
Mike, I love you. You're great.
I love you too.
Well, I don't love you, so it's weird that you said that.
Zoe and Beetle are back with more.
Tomorrow in class of New England?
Yep. On the Sports Hub.
With this right here that you talking, you can miss me with all this. You up 3-1. Your ass flops at times to sell calls. I don't want to hear that. It was no agenda whatsoever. The agenda was that y'all couldn't make shots. The agenda was that y'all refused to switch up y'all style of play of shooting threes after threes after threes, when at times y'all could have drove the damn basketball and went got some layups or put some pressure on the referees. The referees are not going to give the Celtics calls because they shoot a lot of jump shots. If you're a team that's aggressive, guess what? You put pressure on the referees. You're a team that's not aggressive. You live by the 3, you die by the 3. Y'all died by the 3. Y'all was up 3-1 in this series. You fucking lost 3 home games in the Boston Garden. 3. It used to be a sacred place. But instead, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid walked into your crib, shoes all muddy, went kick their feet up on your coffee table, order DoorDash with your credit card. That's how comfortable they were.
Nobody does it like Kendrick Perkins.
The best.
He's not thrilled with the commentary on that Twitch stream from Jaylen Brown. He's not happy with the Celtics in general. I bet they won't give him access to the building now next year. I bet he's booted again.
Yeah, no duck boat parade.
No longer welcome on the duck boat parades in the future. No longer considered a Celtics alum now.
You might not have to worry about that, given the way things are going here. More duck boat parades with this group.
Yeah, not anytime soon. John in Connecticut. Hey, John.
Hey, guys. Hey,
I know it's not exactly comparable, but, Michael Jordan never won a championship without Scottie Pippen. Pippen never won one without Jordan. And they had about 6 or 7 seasons where they didn't play with one another. And I think those two guys hated each other. But they also must have loved winning enough that they made it work. And I kind of wonder if Tatum or Brown loved winning enough to really make it work.
Yeah, I mean, did Pippen ever have a first-round exit and say, you know what, this is my favorite year of my career?
Never. Yeah, never.
Yeah, never.
They never, and you even think about, it's different times, but, Jordan was, he had the business stuff and all that. Huge, I get it. But it was still the basketball.
No, you're breaking up there, John. But your point on Pippen, I don't think is an apples to apples, but he did feel like he didn't get enough credit for the Bulls' success.
Yes.
But he never thought he was on the level of Jordan.
Well, here's the other thing,
He never thought, we're equals. He didn't do that.
It took some time for those guys to get to that level, but when they actually get to the finals, right, they start cashing in. Right now is the prime of both of these guys' careers, and you've just flamed out spectacularly in round 2 and round 1 in what should be the prime years of your career. And that's a difference right there, too. This should be it, man. You should have won in 24, and now we're off and running, competing for championships. And you've fallen incredibly short the last 2 years of doing that.
If we're talking about, getting in line, who's the number 1, who's the number 2, obviously one of the issues is that Jaylen Brown at times has been better than Jason Tatum, including in 2024. So that only empowers him even more to say, yeah, you know what, this was my favorite year because I proved that I'm a MVP quality player without Jason Tatum. I proved that in 2024 when I was the Finals MVP, when I was the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. So that only creates more tension.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Ricky's in Needham. Hey, Ricky.
Hey, what's up? Jaylen, get off Twitch and take some accountability for what just happened. Same thing with Mazzulla. I looked at that post-game presser, and it's just such a cop-out. I love the looks. We just didn't knock them down. Love the process, hate the result. Completely disregards, a lot of facts in my mind. Personnel decisions that were highly questionable. In-game management, highly questionable, again, after the Knicks lost last year. How about the fact that, you don't have your guys ready to close it out, like Perk is talking about? You guys, you're just not ready. You don't have the constitution. You don't have the toughness. You didn't finish. So just saying, hey, we missed the shots, we took them, it was a great process. Come on, own up to it. It's BS.
Yeah, there's accountability problems left and right.
Yeah.
Following this.
Blatantly obvious that when you look at the head coach having the comments that he had, when you have Jaylen Brown, again, pointing to refs being out to get him and Joel Embiid flopping as the reasons that you didn't win. There's huge issues there.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys. I have no problems with the head coach of the Boston Celtics basically coming out after a Game 7 loss and saying, you know what, I really don't care about winning. It's all about the process. The head coach of the Boston Celtics, a team that has been defined by winning. Granted, a lot of that a long time ago, but still. 18 banners.
And Dollar Bill has watched the documentary. He's watched the Simmons doc, all 14 parts of it.
Look, and the process to me is just very Moneyball-ish, where again, it's hey, you know what? Over a large sample size, that's going to play out the way that you expect it to, right? The numbers are going to even out. But in a best-of-7 series, that might not be the case. And just pointing to, we did the process the right way. You are also the better team. So, where is the counterpunch? Because you don't have the room for error. The Billy B, and I go back to it saying it's a crapshoot once you get to the postseason. You are a better roster than just pointing to that, right? That shouldn't just be the only answer that you have. Hey, you know what? We were the better team, but the shots didn't fall. All right, well, what else can you do? Because you're going into series where you're the heavy favorites and coming up short, and just not hitting your threes shouldn't be the excuse that you lost those series.
Tim, I don't know if you were watching the other night. The counterpunch was there. It was called Garza, Shireman, and Harper, right? That's the counterpunch. That's chess, not checkers, baby.
No, look, the counterpunch was going to the basket. Peter brought it up. The 2 runs that you made in that game, you weren't shooting threes. You're going to the basket. You were getting the free throw line, and you got away from that again.
Let's go Gina in Vermont. Hi, Gina.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I just wanted to comment on Jaylen Brown. I've never cared for him from day one. I've always thought he was jealous of Jason Tatum because Jason Tatum started from the time he came into the NBA, and Brown didn't. And I think he's always been a problem. And I think this year went to his head, and I think we should get rid of him.
Okay, there's a vote for getting rid of Jaylen Brown. To his head it went. This season went right to his head. All that success, all those MVP chants, all of it. Nick in Attleboro. Hi, Nick.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. How we doing?
Good.
Good. So my take is on Mazzulla. I love him as a coach, but I really just think his shortcomings come at the end of games. I don't know if he can talk to Brad Stevens in the offseason and kind of pick his brain, because what you needed at the end of that game was what Brad Stevens was best at. Calling out of bounds play, get a good look, potentially, win that game, because you're right there in it. Towards the end, you just kept running the same thing 4 times in a row and expected a different result. As always, guys, thanks for taking my call.
All right, appreciate it, Nick. You remember all the ATO talk with Brad
Best
Stevens?
in the league.
Nobody better.
Best in the league.
Nobody out of a timeout than him. Best in the league. All right, let's grab headlines. We've done a lot of complaining about the Celtics here. Let's complain about a different team.
I'll love it.
Red Sox. We have McTakey in studio.
Big win last night for the boys.
Turn around
They
here,
took
guys.
severe weather.
And Roman Anthony's hurt again. That feels like a trend now. Roman Anthony flew back to Boston after having something happen with his
Never a good
wrist.
sign.
Not a great sign when they send you back home. What, they don't have an MRI machine in Detroit?
They did. They said it was negative, but he's coming home anyway.
They can't send the film to the doctor here? Oh, wait, they're sending him home? Something might be wrong. Something might be wrong. Milliken's nodding. Yes, wrong. Something's very wrong.
Never a good sign when Marcelo Meyer's playing more games than you.
We'll hear from Milliken on the other side in 90 seconds.